Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, deaths, leasers, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm a Useful Idiot. Welcome. And today I'm going to talk about the Supreme Court's decision about immunity. And I know it's pretty late on this issue, but frankly, since YouTube is censoring the shit out of me, I don't feel any urgency about posting things. But I did want to talk about this a little bit more because it doesn't seem like anybody quite understands what happened and what didn't happen. It's a very nuanced decision in a way, and it basically says there is a distinction between official comments and actions and unofficial comments and actions. So it's very nuanced, and it really won't affect too much. Of course, there's a lot of hyperbole and a lot of excitement and hysteria among liberals because it does affect a lot of the Trump legal cases, and rightfully so. But other than that, it doesn't really change much. So we're going to have another layer, a very thin layer, a very nuanced layer of presidential immunity going forward. And so a lot of the cases against Trump will just be moved into lower courts and be looked at again, deciding, which are official comments and which are not official comments. And like I say, it's almost a moot point, whether they're official comments or unofficial comments moving forward. It won't have a huge impact. And I love all the hysteria out there. Immediately after the decision, of course, the liberal base went apeshit because Trump's going to get certain immunity about certain things. And they immediately started, including the media, not just liberal base, the media went out there and said, oh, well, gee, if the presidents have all these new powers of immunity, well, why doesn't Biden go have Trump shot? And why doesn't Biden do this? And why doesn't Biden do that? And why doesn't he just round up all the conservatives and put them in camps and gas them? And I'm not exaggerating. I wish I were. But that's the kind of shit that went on out there, including people like Rachel Maddow and whatnot. And then, of course, the whole hysteria and insanity of the liberals talking about, oh, well, now that Trump has this immunity, when he becomes president, he's just going to round up everybody and have them killed, and he's going to have death squads out there and all that other horse shit. I can't even believe that there's conversations like this going on in the upper echelons of government and politicians and supposedly respectable journalists and media. I'm sorry, I even choked on those words. The fact that they talk about such nonsense, and it's so childish and simplistic, and no connection to reality whatsoever. But that's where we are in this country now. But a couple things that I found disturbing about this is actual Supreme Court justices coming out like Sotomayor. I think it's really inappropriate for them to come out and talk about these decisions and add to the hysteria and add to the hyperbole. To some extent, I agree with a lot of criticisms against the Supreme Court in the U.S. now. I mean, to have this level of childishness and this level of partisan hysteria is highly inappropriate. So I think the idea of having term limits, of course, it's very problematic. If you start putting term limits to the Supreme Court, then it's going to cause moral hazard, and they're really going to have to weigh the political implications of their choices rather than be able to just make whatever choices are legally binding. So that's a problem. If they want to talk about term limits, they should talk about term limits in Congress, but of course they're not going to go there because the congressmen love their eternal gravy trains. They pretty much have to die before they ever get out of office, and the uninformed, ignorant, bewildered herd of the American public keeps voting these assholes in. But I've seen some pretty reputable people, even on local TV, supposed law professors at the University of Washington, just talking once again in the most simplistic terms and using the same hyperbole and fear-mongering, talking about what the implications of this decision is. And I'm just a layman. I know about a lot of things, but I'm not that well versed in law, but I know about the ideas of things and their legality, and certainly about their constitutionality. And there's there's some great history because there was a Truman case where he tried to seize steel mills, uh, 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 and it was decided it was unconstitutional, and he didn't have immunity, and so that had to be stopped. But the whole reason why I think this whole immunity idea, presidential immunity idea, is just a moot point and really is meaningless, is because we have an entire history, certainly in the last 50, 60, 70 years, where presidents already ostensibly have legal immunity against all kinds of outrageous things. Biden was vice president under Obama, and Attorney General Holder, and we had an American citizen killed by a drone, and they had a kill list that was completely unconstitutional, and they should be prosecuted for it, and yet they apparently have a blanket immunity for that kind of thing. And then, of course, we have Biden has racked up an entire array of decisions in these executive orders that circumvent and violate the Constitution of the United States, and he apparently has complete immunity. And then we keep having, for example, the student loan debt forgiveness program keeps getting struck down by not only the Supreme Court but a lot of lower courts, and he continues to forge ahead with these student debt loan forgiveness programs, and he's completely immune for prosecution. And Biden will probably be given complete immunity and be immune to prosecution for the debacle in the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And there's just hundreds of examples. We also have the attacks on free speech, and that presidents apparently have complete immunity from that. In fact, ironically, the Supreme Court sided with the Biden administration that he was allowed to use social media to censor free speech across America. Got complete immunity for that. We have former President Bush apparently has complete immunity for lying us into a war in Iraq. He should not only be prosecuted, he should be brought up on war crimes. We have president after president: the illegal invasion of Panama, the illegal invasion of Grenada, the illegal U.S. NATO operation against Libya, the illegal partial occupation by U.S. troops of Syria, the destruction of Yugoslavia under the NATO blanket. It just goes on and on and on. So yeah, sorry to break it to especially the liberal base, this immunity case by the Supreme Court really means nothing. The presidents of the United States have almost total immunity from the most egregious and outrageous actions now. So, and it will continue as we move forward. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too?